time. This thing that flows on endlessly. And honestly, I just hit this countdown button to see what would happen. And we'll just get into the episode so you can stop hearing me just kind of ramble on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the one and only Allied Rivals podcast. My name is AJ Herschel, also known as The Kid. And of course, with me here is my partner in this, Cademan Bauer. How you doing today, my dude?
I am doing very well. Pretty much just been getting ready for school since that's coming right around the corner next week.
Yeah. Oh, you start next week, really?
I do. Yeah. When do you start?
Okay. I start the week of the 25th, 24th. That's when I start.
Nice.
So I still get like 2 more weeks. But man, you're jumping right into it.
Yeah.
You excited?
I am. I'm a little nervous because new school, going to Wheaton Academy, but I'm really excited.
Yeah, it should be fun. Well, I don't think so. There's a decent amount of news since the last time we talked, so we're gonna try to get through it pretty quick and get to the bulk of our episode. We'll be talking about the MLB, the update today. They're through a third of their season already, for crying out loud. But we're going to go ahead and start with the news. And first and foremost, this is the biggest one out of the way. Ben Simmons undergoes knee surgery, and he's projected to be out for the playoffs. Caben, what were your first reactions when you heard the news?
Well, my first reaction was this is going to put like an extra burden on every player on the team, especially Joel Embiid, because he did so much for his team on both sides of the floor. He's definitely their most versatile defender. He leads their team in steals per game and assists per game, and he does pretty well in scoring as well. So, I definitely think this will be really hard on especially Joel Embiid. AJ, I'm just curious, how do you think this is going to affect the team as a whole and their chances in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think I don't want to say it kills their chances in the playoffs, but it severely hurts them because you've lost your distributor. You've lost one of your main players in your core. And look, not to discount the 76ers. I mean, they're still a pretty good team. But when you lose a guy like Ben Simmons, I feel like that's too much. I feel like they're not going to be able to bounce back from this. And the playoffs is going to be filled with Jason Tatum's on again, off against Celtics, the Bucks, the Raptors. I could see them maybe making a push to conference finals. But as of right now, they go as far as the second round in the NBA playoffs right now, and no farther.
Yeah.
Other than that, Russell Westbrook strained his right quad. He should be okay.
Yeah, should be.
Think?
Yeah, that's what we've been told.
Yeah, he's out for the end of the season, but I mean it's already almost over anyway. So I think he should be okay. If he gets to 100%, they'll be all right. Moving on, and it looks like we already got someone in the comments, Mr. James Williams. Hi. What's up,
Hi.
James? Good to have you with us. If you got any questions or comments for us, please let us know. Moving on with the rest of the sports news, Darius Geis was released by the Redskins on some pretty heavy charges. We're not going to get into that really right now, but I feel like that's going to hurt the Redskins backfield so much. Other than that, Lamar Miller got signed by the Patriots, and that makes 5 running backs they have now.
Yeah.
What do you think, Caden?
Well, I'm not really sure because is he going to fit in well with the Patriots just because they already have enough running backs? Was he necessary? Right?
Yeah.
Do you think he's necessary?
Necessary? No, because the Patriots have Rex Burkhead, who's a goal line threat. If Sony Michel is, I think the main thing is because Sony and Rex can't stay healthy, and Damian Harris is still young. So why not bring in an experienced running back? Not going to hit that hard on the salary cap to bring in just in case something goes wrong, or maybe he becomes the workhorse back. I think it makes sense for the Patriots, but it's going to complicate things for fantasy owners at least, but it makes sense to me. Moving on, Everson Griffin, breaking news in the last 10 minutes. He just signed with Dallas. I think that helps their defense a good amount, especially since they lost Robert Quinn. What do you think?
Yeah, that should be a good addition. I mean, he's a veteran star, and I mean, he's a very consistent player. I wouldn't say he's elite in the backfield, but he definitely has the vision. He can read the quarterback. He can read the wide receivers, and I think that's something really cool about him. I think he'll be a good addition to the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's a little bit. I don't want to say he's completely over the hill, but he definitely is getting up there in age, which doesn't help him. But still, solid addition to Dallas. Other than that, in college football news, the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have just canceled fall sports outright, meaning that as of right now, the SEC, Big 12, and ACC are all still planning to play college football in the fall. So, Cademan, Nebraska in the Big Ten still wants to find a way to play football. Do you think this is okay for them, that they still want to find a place to play this fall, even though the rest of their division is determined, no, we're going to wait? What do you think?
I think that's great for them. I mean, if they want to play football and if they're determined to play, go ahead and let them try to find a place to play. I mean, just because the whole conference says no games doesn't mean they can't join another conference or just get in some even non-official games. Would be really good for a lot of those college guys.
I think the thing is, like, the MAC canceled their games, the Mountain West canceled their games. So really, I feel like the only place they'd be able to find a good spot is in the Big 12, out of all places, because they were open to one out-of-conference game, or the ACC. But I think it's a lot harder for Nebraska because they've already had these deals with their conference, a lot of monetary deals. The only reason Notre Dame got into the ACC is because Notre Dame's been making deals with the ACC for years. So that already makes sense for them. So I feel like if they do try to play football somewhere else and they really press this is going to hurt relations with the Big Ten. And they just joined the Big Ten in the last 10 years. So I don't think it's a good move by Nebraska right now. It makes sense from a players and coaches perspective, but from the perspective of, oh, we're in the Big Ten right now and we kind of need to adhere to the rules, I worry for them. NHL news, respect first of all to the NHL. They still have not had any positive coronavirus tests out of the 3,500 tests they've done, however many right now. Huge respect to them for being able to they've done the bubble really well, if not the best out of every league.
Yeah, that's really cool that out of all those guys, no one has tested positive. I mean, they're doing obviously a really good job, like you said, with the bubble. And it'd be cool to see that happen for, like, the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, right. It's really interesting because the NHL, they've got more teams in the MLB and more players on a roster than the NBA, and yet they've been able to stay safe. So big respect to them. Speaking of the NHL, the qualifiers are over. Chicago, Arizona, Calgary, and Vancouver, let's go, all advanced, as well as Carolina, the Islanders, the Blue Jackets, and Montreal. So I'm hyped because the 12 seed Blackhawks upset Edmonton, though we got blown out by Vegas last night 4-1. But other than that, we're in the playoffs, so I'm happy.
Good for them.
Yeah. Portland Timbers, if anyone's into the MLS, they're your MLS champions, and they beat Orlando City, even though I was pulling for Orlando City, but Portland's been so dominant for years, it makes sense. Tim Anderson was activated off the 10-day injured list, and he went 4 of 5 today in his first game back. He's, if not the best leadoff hitter in the league with DJ LeMahieu. They're like the 2 best, easily.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, the MLB has been doing baseball 7-inning doubleheaders recently. That was their new rule. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. Cademan, do you have any thoughts on it?
It looks like it's going pretty good so far. I think the players are okay with it. I think the managers are okay with it. It's interesting. It's new, and I think it's good that it's only for this 2020 shortened season, because I think that would kind of get boring. 7-inning doubleheaders.
Yep, I agree. That's pretty much all of the news right now. We're going to move on into the big part of our episode, which is MLB update. We are through a third of the season right now, which is honestly really crazy to think about because the MLB season is so long and we're already 20 games in. So right now we're just going to look at our predictions that we made to start the year, what things have impressed us, stuff like that. So Cademan, let's go ahead and start with something good. What stuff have you gotten right, or anything you want to highlight that you've been right about so far?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I saw that I predicted right was that the White Sox would be mediocre. Like needing a year to gel. They're sitting at 500, I believe, right now.
They just got above 500.
They
they
just
beat
got
the
above.
Tigers today.
Okay.
Yep.
So the Tigers, they're in fourth place, maybe third now. I don't know.
They're third. They're behind the Indians. Yes.
Okay. So I mean, I think that Detroit's going to fall because they're playing a ton of division games against the White Sox and Indians, and then they play the Cubs and then the Twins. I mean, it looks like the Sox, now that they have Tim Anderson back, they should be great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have so many stars like Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, Tim Anderson, and Yasmani Grandal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they should, now that their whole team is together, they should be getting a little higher up there. Like, I think they should pass the Indians sometime soon.
Mm-hmm. The surprising thing about the Indians is that their bullpen has been great to start the season, and with the White Sox, it hasn't been the Yasmani Grandals and the free agents that they've signed. It's been Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, their young core that's been really coming out and just playing really well. So the follow-up question to this is: do you think they're going to stay mediocre for the rest of the year, or do you think they'll find their footing?
Yeah, I think it really depends on how the Tigers are doing. The White Sox and Tigers are going to be playing a lot of games, and I think those series are the critical ones.
Interesting.
So whoever wins those series, I think, is going to have the better season. So I think the White Sox will probably win those series, and I think they should be sitting at number 2 in their division by the end of the season. Yeah, they have a pretty tough schedule, but it's not the Tigers schedule, and they're not. Tigers aren't even supposed to be good, so they could fall. I mean, they're just coming out of nowhere right now.
Absolutely. And we'll talk more about that later, too. The good thing about the White Sox is now, since the playoffs have been expanded to 8 teams, they're not going to necessarily have to work as hard to get to second place behind the Twins, because right now, I mean, you've got Yankees, you've got Tampa, you've got Minnesota, and now the A's have coming out hot. We're all expecting the Astros, and that still leaves you with 3 spots left, which are probably going to go, as of right now, to Indians, White Sox. We're not expecting Detroit to keep it up. So, I mean, they're in a decent position, all things considered, but they really do need to get it together. Let's see. So do you want to do your second half, or do you want me to go next?
Oh, why don't you take over right now?
All right. So what's a couple of things I was right about. If I could pull it up here. So first off, the Cubs, like I said it a bunch of times, they're a team that comes out hot and they get to win a bunch of games in a row. They're 11-3, currently best record in the NL. David Ross is having an incredible time. He's doing a great job managing so far. Their one weakness hasn't been that bad. Lester's been pretty good. Hendricks, he's had his off day, but he's pretty good overall. Tyler Chatwood, unfortunately, became human again, so maybe he'll get back. Their one weakness really is they need a closer, because Craig Kimbrell is not doing great. And I'm really excited about the Cubs. They came out hot, 11-3. Offense is clicking. Javier Baez is doing great. Jason Kipnis, who they signed in the offseason, Chicago native, has so far been hitting lights out. He's hitting over 300. Also, we both said Twins are going to absolutely slay. Aaron Judge is just going. He's insane to start the season. I was also right about the Brewers struggling without their stars. And yeah, Lorenzo Cain hurt. but it doesn't help that they're 7-8 right now. They're going to have to fight really hard for that 7 or 8 spot so far in the playoffs. It looks like. I'll go ahead and get into my wrong prediction right here. I'll just hold off on yours for a second. So my wrong prediction, I think the biggest one was that I said the NL Central was going to be the most competitive. I was very wrong. It's been the NL West. The Rockies, the Dodgers, and the Padres are all fighting for first place. They all look like playoff teams at this point. And I mean, it hasn't helped that the NL Central, the Cardinals have only played like 5 games at this point, and the Pirates are just the Pittsburgh Pirates. But the leading the race for first in the NL West is absolutely crazy. Also, I was wrong about the Astros so far, at least, being able to push past the problem of not being able to, how should I say this, to move past everything that's happened in the offseason. They're sitting in third, technically speaking, right now in the standings. Yeah. They're 7-10. They've had a really rough start. I was not expecting this for sure. That's my biggest wrong prediction. Cademan, what about you? What have you not gotten right so far?
Yeah, biggest wrong prediction. I hate to say it, but well, I don't really hate to say this part, but the Red Sox,
yeah,
they're sitting at the bottom of their division right now, and I thought that, well, they lost a ton of guys during the offseason, and they brought in new guys. I thought it wouldn't hurt them too much, but it obviously has.
Yeah,
so I think that's the big one that I messed up on.
Yeah. Overall, we're not doing too bad in our predictions, though. We're not doing too bad. So far, we still have 40 games left to play, so we'll see how the rest plays out. Moving on, we're going to have so far what are our biggest surprises from the year so far, and also our biggest disappointments in the MLB right now. So, Cademan, how about you start? What is your we'll do bad news first. So, what's your biggest disappointment so far that's been happening?
Oh, well, I predicted that Christian Yelich was going to be really great, and he is not having the stats. He is not hitting well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still a great fielder, but I don't know what his batting
average is. Jason Hayward is hitting better than you.
He's just, I don't know, he's not making contact with the ball. I feel like it could have something to do with his injury, but I don't think so, because he was flying around those bases when he hit in the park home run. So I don't know what's up with him. But also, Jacob deGrom, don't get me wrong, he's doing great, but he's not doing as well as I thought he was. Like Trevor Bauer, he is just insane right now, and I kind of thought that's how Jacob deGrom was going to be.
Well, granted, for deGrom and for all starting pitchers right now, they've really only had 3 to 2, maybe 4 if you're lucky, starts so far. So, I mean, there is a little bit of leeway we can give to deGrom to the fact that we have a very small sample size, because one bad game can blow your ERA up right now to 5.5. So do you think deGrom will continue to improve over the season? Do you think Yelich will be able to pull it together? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'll start with Yelich. I think that Yelich, well, he has started already getting a little bit better. He started the season like 1-27. He's improved that some. I don't know. I think he should keep improving. But as far as Jacob deGrom, I really think that Jacob deGrom is going to just keep going as he is. I think that it's based on Trevor Bauer if he gets the Cy Young. Is Trevor Bauer going to slow down? Is he going to regress over the season? I think I think Jacob deGrom is going to be consistent, but I think it depends on Trevor Bauer to where he's placed.
Yeah, that doesn't help that Trevor Bauer right now, that he's sitting with, guess who? The Reds. And so deGrom can't have the benefit of him playing in the AL to still win another Cy Young. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. If you don't mind, I'm going to give my disappointment and surprise.
Go ahead.
My biggest disappointment, man, Craig Kimbrell. Dude, you're the current MLB leader in career saves, my man. And the Cubs paid you a lot to be their closer after Aroldis Chapman basically just came on loan for the playoffs in 2016. And then we lost Wade Davis. And he really hasn't done nowhere near as well. I mean, this is the guy who like looks like a vulture when he's like about to attack you with his arm out. I love it. But man, he's got like a 20 ERA right now. He's looking worse than he was last year. Craig, you are at best an all-star. And manager David Ross said getting Craig Kimbrell back on track, it's going to take a minute. I believe it. Craig Kimbrell. Here, let me see this for a second. I need a personal message to Craig Kimbrell. Craig Kimbrell, you have had a disappointing start to the season. But as a person who likes the Cubs, I know you can bring it back. You are an all-star at your best. You are one of the best closers in the league. We need that. I believe you can get it together. But so far, it's been kind of disappointing that he's looking worse than last year. Biggest surprise, though? What on earth, Detroit?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
They're crazy right now.
I can't believe it. That they're actually sitting in tied for second with the Indians in the division. They're a game behind. Now, granted, they didn't have their series against the Cardinals, so that is true. And granted, they had an atrocious start to the season. It's so weird. They came back after 4 games, and then they won 4 straight in a row. Big wins. One was 17 runs. I feel like they're being carried a little bit right now. Jacoby Jones is hitting over 300. Miguel Cabrera, I don't even know how old the dude is. Miguel Cabrera and CJ Cron are hitting home runs, but I think that the Tigers, this is the biggest surprise so far of the MLB year to me, but I don't think they're going to be able to keep it going at all. Why? Their starting rotation is not doing great. They're not doing great in ERA. The Tigers have had to score a lot of runs to be able to beat teams. Yes, they did beat the White Sox. I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago, 5-1. But that's a rarity for them. They don't get a lot of strikeouts. They're not typically great in the bullpen. And when they started the year against the Reds, they looked atrocious on defense. I don't think this is going to last. If it does, that's going to go straight in my wrong predictions. But as of right now, I'm not feeling it, Detroit. But it definitely is surprising, so enjoy it while you can.
For sure.
What's your biggest surprise?
So I think for me, the biggest surprise was how well the Rockies are doing. Yeah. They're leading their division. I mean, Charlie Blackmon, he's doing so well. He's leading the league in batting average, hits, and RBI. He's doing so well in many of the other stats too. But I mean, also it helps when Trevor Story has hit 6 home runs for you already,
tied with Judge, if I remember correctly.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, their losses, the games they lose, are super close. Yeah. So they're not getting whooped in any of their games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Rockies, I think a lot of us expected, like, oh, I mean, yeah, they have Charlie Blackmon, but Nolan Arenado, I mean, they paid him a bunch of money and he hasn't showed up. But the Rockies' bullpen's been good. They I don't even know what to say. I thought you explained it pretty well. I mean, they're hitting well, they're pitching well. The hard part is, do you think they're going to be able to keep it up? They're in a division with the Padres and probably the most exciting young team in the league. And then the Clayton Kershaw, Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, granted he hasn't been hitting well to start the season, led Dodgers. Do you think this is going to last for the Rockies?
It's hard to say. I think it's pretty much based all off of Charlie Blackmon because he's
all off of him, really.
Well, let's say this: if he just, I don't know. Let's say he gets injured and he's not playing for a long time. That's going to really affect the Rockies. And, I mean, especially because he's leading them in RBI and hits. Interesting. So he's getting in a ton of guys. I mean, of course, there has to be guys hitting it in order for him to get RBI. But, I mean, obviously he's doing insane. And I think it's pretty much based all off of him. Of course, and I think their rotation as well. Yeah. I think it's iffy right now. It's looking good so far, I think, but they'll just have to keep that up.
Yeah. Well, don't get any comments here right now, but to the one person who's live watching right now, and to the people who are watching the recording, what do you guys think about the MLB season? Are you shocked by any players, any teams? I know Washington hasn't done great either so far. They're sitting behind the Braves, and yes, technically the Marlins. Okay. But let us know what you think in the comments below about the MLB. That's pretty much everything we have for the day. Caven, you got any final thoughts on the MLB so far?
I do not. Well, let me think about that. I don't think I do. I think it's
Okay.
just very interesting that a lot of teams that are supposed to be good are kind of quiet right now. They didn't have like a super fast start. But the Rockies and the Tigers just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think for me, if I had to leave with any final thoughts, a lot of the teams that we thought were going to be good have been really good so far, i.e. Yankees, i.e. Twins, i.e. A's, i.e. Braves, i.e. Dodgers, and for me, i.e. Cubs. What were you about to say?
Just IE.
Yeah, i.e. And for me, i.e. Cubs, but it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen with a lot of these middle playoff races. If anyone can get hot, because right now Dodgers, Rockies, and Padres are going to have to play each other eventually later down the line too, and that's going to be the most difficult thing because the playoffs go through them. Granted, all three of them can make it to the playoffs to start the season, but I think the playoff race, especially in the middle, especially when the Cardinals start playing baseball again, because we haven't seen them for weeks.
Long time.
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest question for me right now. Well, that's going to wrap up our MLB content for the most part. Now, a little bit of a teaser. We've done so far, I think, 3 NFL episodes and 2. And this is our second MLB episode, our rankings one and our update video. And a lot of people are probably wondering, why haven't you done a focus on the NBA? They're heading into their playoffs. A lot of stuff's been picking up. Why haven't you talked about it a lot? Well, right now we thought about doing it here, but there's still some contest between the Trailblazers, between the Grizzlies for the play-in games to get into the playoffs. A couple of the closer seeds haven't been decided with the Heat, 76ers, Nuggets, etc. Teams like that who are fighting. I know the Nuggets are in a different division. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But all that to say, we wanted to wait until this weekend. The season will be officially finished. The play-in games are going to be done. We're going to be able to know exactly what we're talking about 100%. We'll come out with a NBA playoff predictions video this weekend. So look forward to that. Cayman, you got anything you want to say on that?
I don't think so, but I think it's just, I honestly wish that they gave us more games in the bubble. Just because a lot of teams have had, I don't know, some guys out, and that's going to really affect them. So, like, I think if the bubble was longer, if there were more games in it, then Ben Simmons might be able to come for the last couple games. Or not Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, sorry. Russell Westbrook might be able to come for the last couple games. And I think those they're in the playoffs, but they want the highest seed that they can get. And I think that's so, of course, they want Russell Westbrook, and I'm sure the Rockets are actually wishing that there were more games in this bubble. So I think that's something that's kind of interesting about the whole NBA bubble and all the injuries and COVID.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing, though, with a lot of those teams is the fact that they're basically just trying to finish the season with the amount of games they were supposed to play, and it makes it a little bit tougher being that, like, the bottom 8 teams, you can't have played with the Warriors or the Bulls or the Cavs this year especially. But yeah, it is going to be rough for some teams. Really quick teaser, I guess. Trailblazers, Grizzlies, which one do you think deserves to be in the playoffs more? Just a quick question.
Well, I was just not sure about that because they seem like they're pretty even. I mean, they are, but just offhand, I don't know who should be, but I'm gonna say that the Trailblazers will be.
Interesting. Okay. I know the Spurs and the Suns are right behind, but personally, I think it's just going to be the Trailblazers as well. Even though the Suns have won, they've won 7 games in a row, I think, in the bubble. So
yeah,
they are on fire. So granted, I could be completely wrong about that. The Suns go to the play-in game, and it doesn't help that the Grizzlies have dropped 6 out of their last 7. But the Trailblazers have Damian Lillard, and even though this might not take him far enough in the playoffs with CJ McCollum, you can't deny he's one of the most clutch players in the league. He can just hit a 3 with 2 seconds from basically anywhere that's in front of half court. And so I think the Blazers are probably going to pull it out. Spurs are a well-coached team because you've got Greg Popovich, who's, if not the best coach, one of the best coaches in the NBA. He's a historic great coach. He's won multiple championships. You can't really deny that. But I don't think they're going to make it in. Suns, I don't think you're going to make it in. It's going to come down to John Morant's Grizzlies to me and the Portland Trailblazers of Damian Lillard. But that is what we're going to find out this weekend. So, Caben, as always, we finish off with a Bible verse. Caben, this is your segment. Take it.
All right. This week's Bible verse is seen on the screen. Psalm 27. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. So I think this verse explains how, when this was written, the civilians, I guess, or the people put their trust in the army. And they put their trust, like the king was proud of how many chariots and horses he had. And that's kind of where the whole country put their trust in, right? But we don't, we put our trust in the Lord, and we don't put it in our government or like tanks nowadays or fighter jets. I don't know, but we're trusting in the Lord. We're not trusting in our country. And I think that's honestly something that's kind of really relevant today. Yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly really important, especially nowadays there is so much to be afraid of, honestly, especially with coronavirus going on. But we trust in the name of the Lord our God. He will be the one to protect us from now until eternity, obviously. So, yeah, thought you explained that pretty well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another episode of the Allied Rivals podcast. We're trying to keep these a little bit shorter than we had previously done, even though, maybe we'll do a mega episode at some point if there's something really big to talk about, or, I don't know, NBA finals or something like that. Maybe we'll do another big episode, but we're trying to keep them shorter. Cayman, as normal, you show off one of your basketball cards. So but
first you pull out one of your figures.
Oh, okay. I was gonna let you do it first, but okay. All right. Today I will go ahead and grab. I hope this doesn't fall over right here. So this is Star Wars Thrawn, written by Timothy Zahn, and I adore the way this book is written so much. I don't want to spoil it, but it goes from actual dialogue and the way he talks to inside the mind of Thrawn, and he's the one narrating it. Man, as a Star Wars fan, this book, oh my goodness, I love this book so much. And yeah, it's really, really good. And that's why it's back here. Caden, you're up.
All right. Well, I have a lot of Dwayne Wade cards, so I'm just gonna pull another one out for you today.
There it is.
It is Miami red jersey.
Nice.
Gotta love them.
Nice. That was a clean jersey. That's a nice one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for another episode of the one and only Allied Rivals podcast. My name is A.J. Herschel, the kid, and y'all already know it has been Power. There we go. And we will see you guys next time on the one and only Allied Rivals podcast this weekend. NBA playoff predictions. Be there. It'll be a fun time. We'll see.